Hi, I'm Barbara Thiel, and I'd like to cover the subject of hot water bath canning. Hot water bath canning is very popular because it's easy to do. We use it for pickles, pickled products, and for fruits. Foods that we call high acid. All right, the hot water bath canner consists of a canner type of usually porcelain enamel, could be other materials, has a rack so that the jars don't hit. It fits right in the canner. Also can sit right up on the rack. Now, what you do, you put hot water in here, and you have your jars hot, as I'll show you, and then the water goes over the top of the jars at least an inch so that the water actually boils right over the top of the jars. All right, today, because we have had major changes in our canning, we're going to use tomatoes, and the first tomato product that I have is tomato juice. How I prepared the tomato juice is just simply took the tomatoes, cooked them, put them through a food mill, and if you're not familiar with a food mill, this is just a food mill. The juice comes through, the pulp and seeds stay on the inside, and you just throw them out. Then when you're ready to can, you heat your tomato juice really hot. Get it good and hot. You have your jars hot, and you're going to put the hot juice into the hot jars. Now the jars do not have to be sterilized if you're going to go in the hot water bath over 10 minutes. They can just be good and hot. They can come out of the dishwasher and they're just fine. Now, I go around with ladies all the time. They say, they make pickles. Now, your pickles sometimes will go in maybe 5 minutes. And that's all. Jellies and jams you might put in the hot water bath, 5 minutes. And they say, well, they came out of the dishwasher. My dishwasher's hot. I can't touch the water, but it's not boiling. So if you're going into that hot water bath canner, less than 10 minutes, you need to sterilize your jars. And you do that by putting them in a big kettle, filling the kettle with water, and immersing those jars. And then you should boil it for 15 minutes to get those jars good and sterilized. All right, this differs from pressure. We can go up to 1/2 inch. The new guidelines on the pressure canner are 1 inch, but the tomato juice can come up to 1/2 of an inch. And what we need to do, the new guidelines tell us we have to acidify our product. And that means to make it acid, just to make sure that the tomatoes are good and you have a good acid product. And you can do that many ways. One way is to use the bottled lemon juice, and that calls for 1 tablespoon per pint, 2 per quart. Or you could use a citric acid tablet. A lot of times people will say, what about vinegar? Again, the new guidelines call for 5% acidity in the vinegar. You could use it, but vinegar will taste. In other words, you have to use twice as much. That would be 4 tablespoons per quart or 2 per pint, 2 tablespoons per pint if you were using vinegar. Now, if it happens that you do run short lemon juice and you need the vinegar, I would suggest using a little bit of sugar in that product to offset the taste. Maybe a tablespoon of sugar. All right, then you're going to seal the lids, and all we do is take a good hot lid so that rubber will seal. And when you're working with tomato products, be sure that you wipe the top because the seeds could get in there. And if you get a seed under that lid, what's going to happen? That's right, they're not going to seal. So again, be sure. And then we're going to put this on hand tight. And there you are, ready to go in your canner. This is going to have hot water in, the jar is hot, the juice is hot, the seal, 1/2 inch head space. And when you fill your canner, you can just put it down. The water will go 1 inch over the top. And when it comes to a rolling boil, then you will time it. And our guidelines will tell us that the time now is, for pints at our altitude, 35 minutes. So you could come in and pick up a bulletin. We have the new guidelines for the tomatoes, and we also have other recipes on here. The tomato vegetable juice blend, which is really popular. We have a recipe, tomato sauce, a chili salsa, tomato ketchup, and then we have just regular recipes for cooking, like a spaghetti sauce with meat, and that has to go in the pressure canner. And tomatoes with okra, zucchini, and pickled green tomato relish. These are more, well, the spaghetti sauce is definitely for pressure, and the zucchini because now you're making an acid product. So these have been all corrected to the new USDA guidelines, so feel free to stop in and pick them up. If you noticed, I didn't put salt in there, did I? You don't have to put salt in your tomato juice. Salt does not preserve it, it flavors it. So again, you can can without salt, you can can without sugar. When you do your fruits, you can can them strictly in water. If I had some peaches here today, I could heat my peaches up in the kettle with just a little water and I could can them. I could sweeten them with a sweetener after, or if I wanted, there's a new sweetener on the market that takes heat. You could put that in there. I could make a light syrup or I could make a heavy syrup. You can can your fruit any way you want. Again, you can can it raw pack or you can can it hot pack. If you can hot pack, just do one canner load at a time because you don't want your fruit to get soft, but it will pack better, just like I did with the green beans for the pressure lesson. It takes the air out, it gives a tighter pack, they won't float. Lots of times we have questions, why does my fruit float? Well, when you raw pack, the air comes out and you have more space in the jar. So you might want to give it a hot pack, which is very, very simple to do. So to pick up your bulletins, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to call us at the Cooperative Extension Service.